I knew the moment I pressed the shutter that I'd made a mistake. The sound of the click was soft, swallowed by the crash of the Pacific against the rocks, but I felt it like a crack through my entire life. One photo, one accidental frame, was all it took for everything to tilt. I was standing on the edge of a private beach in Malibu, my sneakers buried in warm sand, my stomach knotted with hunger. My camera, a thrift store Canon with a temper worse than mine, hung from my neck. I'd come for a paying job, $50 for a shoreline feature. It wasn't much, but $50 meant groceries. It meant gas. It meant one more day pretending I wasn't drowning. I'd taken photos of driftwood, gull footprints, morning light stretching across the water, and then I turned my lens slightly north. That's when I saw him. A man stood on the deck of a modern glass home perched above the beach, barefoot, sleeves rolled to his elbows, slacks that definitely cost more than my monthly rent. His hair was dark with silver woven through it, catching the morning sun. He wasn't posing. He wasn't smiling. He was simply existing in a way powerful men did, still, centered, as though the world rearranged itself around them. He looked up at the exact second I took the photo. Our eyes met. A jolt shot through me. Fear, awe, something else I didn't have a word for yet. He moved first, down the deck steps, across the sand. Each step measured, unhurried, but carved with purpose. I told myself to run, apologize, disappear, but I was too tired, too hungry, too used to life falling apart. So I stood there, camera heavy in my shaking hands, as the stranger with the steel blue eyes reached me. Delete it. Just 2 words. Low, controlled, unmistakably in command. I didn't realize this was private property, I stammered. I'm shooting for a travel blog. They wanted coastline shots. I said delete it. Not loud, not harsh, just certain. I fumbled with the camera buttons. My hands were trembling, and not just from panic. I hadn't eaten yet today, or much yesterday. He watched me closely, his shadow long across the sand. But before I could bring up the image, his hand came down over mine. Large, warm, steadying. I froze as heat flared up my arm. His eyes softened. Barely. But I saw it. I'm not taking your camera, he said. I just want to make sure you delete the photo. Okay, yes, I'm trying. Together, our fingers moved across the worn buttons. The image popped onto the screen. My breath caught. It was embarrassingly good. Sunlight hitting his hair just right, the wind shaping his shirt. His expression split between surprise and steel. He muttered, "Damn it." I hit delete. He waited until the screen cleared. Only then did he exhale, slow and heavy, like he'd been holding his breath for years. His gaze found mine again. What's your name? Part of me wanted to lie, but something in his tone, steady, not unkind, pulled the truth out. Lena. Lena, he repeated. The way he said it made my stomach flip. I'm not trying to scare you. You just caught me at a bad time. I didn't know what that meant, but I didn't have the courage to ask. I should go, I murmured. I turned, but the sand pitched under my feet. My vision wavered. I grabbed for balance, but his hand shot out first, catching my elbow, steadying me before I hit the ground. Easy. His voice changed instantly, from command to concern. You're pale. I'm fine. You're shaking. I'm just tired. Lena. His tone deepened. Quiet but absolute. When did you last eat? I hated that question. Hated how it exposed me. Yesterday, I said. A meal or a snack? I looked away. He muttered another word, something frustrated, directed at himself, not me. Then he released a slow breath. Come with me. No, I pulled back. I don't go places with strangers. He didn't bristle. He didn't push. He simply nodded, acknowledging the boundary. Good. You shouldn't. Then softer. But you're close to fainting, and I'm not letting you drive in that condition. My house is right there. He gestured to the glass home behind him. 10 minutes. Something to eat. Then you can leave. I hesitated. But the truth was brutal. I could barely stand. I nodded. He didn't smile. But relief flickered in his eyes as he gestured for me to follow. Inside, the air smelled like cedar and salt. The house was stunning, open, clean, sunlit. The kind of place that belonged in magazines, not in the orbit of someone like me. He motioned to a stool at the kitchen island. Sit. I did. He brought me a glass of water first. Drink. His tone made it impossible to refuse. The water hit my empty stomach like a shock, but it grounded me. He watched, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You're a photographer," he said. "I'm trying to be." I laughed weakly. "Mostly I take whatever tiny freelance jobs I can get. Landscapes, events. I'm saving for better equipment." "You're talented." The words stunned me. "You only saw one photo." A bad photographer couldn't have captured that moment. His gaze held mine. "You see angles, emotion, lines most people miss." Warmth pressed into my chest. Praise wasn't something I got often. Before I could respond, an older woman stepped into the kitchen carrying a plate piled with food. Eggs, toast, fruit. Real food. Not ramen or vending machine snacks. My eyes burned. If he noticed, he didn't say anything. "Eat," he said simply. I did. Slowly at first, then faster when the hunger stopped pretending it wasn't clawing at me. He turned away while I ate, giving me a privacy I didn't expect. When I finished, he came back to the island, his expression more serious now. "I need to ask you something." My pulse kicked. "Were you alone out there?" he asked. "On the beach? Did you see anyone besides me? Anything unusual?" A knot twisted in my stomach. "No, I didn't see anything." He nodded slowly, but tension carved at his jaw. "Okay, good." "Why?" I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he slid a business card across the marble. I stared down. Nathan Carter, Carter Shoreline Development Group, CEO. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. "If anyone contacts you about being on this beach," he said, "reporters, strangers, anyone, call me immediately." A chill skated up my spine. Why would anyone contact me? Just call. I don't want to be part of anything dangerous. "You won't be," he said, "as long as that photo stays deleted." "It is." He held my gaze, searching for any sign of doubt. Then he nodded. "Good." I stood. "Thank you. For the food and the water." "You're welcome." I walked toward the door, wanting distance, air, anything steady enough to stand on. But as I stepped outside, sunlight washed over me and froze. A man leaned against my beat-up car. Black suit, sunglasses, sharp smile, exactly the type of man your instincts scream to avoid. "Well," he drawled, straightening. "That didn't take long. Snooping around private beaches now, Lena?" My breath caught. "What? Who are you?" He ignored the question and tilted his head. "You really shouldn't have taken that photo." Ice shot through my veins. The door behind me opened. Nathan stepped out, his presence sudden and forceful, his voice like steel drawn across stone. "Step away from her." The man smirked. "Or what?" Nathan moved beside me, protective, unreadable, dangerous in a way I hadn't seen inside the kitchen. "Or you'll find out," Nathan said quietly. "Now." The man's smirk faltered. He held up his hands. "Relax. Just a conversation." "It's over," Nathan said. "Walk away." A moment stretched, tight, electric, terrifying, before the man turned, sauntered down the path, and disappeared through the beach gate. My knees went weak. Nathan caught my arm again. "Lena," he said, voice no longer sharp but low and urgent. "You need to come back inside. Now." I swallowed hard. "Nathan, what's happening?" His eyes met mine, filled with something dark and unspoken. "You're in danger," he said, "because of that photo." My heart slammed against my ribs. And the world I thought couldn't get worse suddenly shattered beneath me. I didn't understand danger until the moment Nathan locked the front door behind us. The click echoed through the sunlit entryway, sharp, final, too loud for a house that expensive. My pulse hammered in my ears as he walked ahead of me, shoulders tight, jaw clenched, the calm authority he'd shown earlier stripped down to something sharper. Fear. Not for himself. For me. Sit, he said, pointing toward the living room. I sank onto the edge of a leather sofa, my fingers twisting in my lap. Nathan stood a few feet away, facing me, arms crossed, not closed off, but bracing himself. I need you to listen carefully, he said. I'm trying, I whispered. He drew in a breath. That man by your car, his name is Anthony Wade. The name meant nothing to me, but the way he said it made a cold weight settle over my chest. He's a fixer, Nathan continued. Someone wealthy people hire when they want a problem handled quietly. What problem? My voice cracked. Nathan hesitated. Then, me. My heart lurched. Nathan, I don't know anything about your life. I don't want to be involved in... You already are, he said softly. Not unkind, just honest. Brutally, compassionately honest. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing a few steps before stopping with his back to the window, ocean light outlining his silhouette. A week ago, he said quietly, a fire destroyed one of my development projects in Santa Monica. A fire? He nodded once. Arson. We think someone targeted it because I refused to sell the land to a competitor. There's a lawsuit, multiple threats, a whole mess you don't need to be pulled into. But this morning, he paused, meeting my eyes. This morning, I had a private conversation with an investor on the deck. A conversation that can't get out. Wade was paid to make sure it doesn't. Oh, God. And you think I accidentally photographed it? I whispered. I don't think, he said. I know. My stomach twisted. But I didn't hear anything, I said quickly. I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't spying. I know, he said, stepping closer, voice steady. I know you weren't, but they don't care. They just want the photo gone. It is gone. I believe you. His eyes softened. But Wade doesn't. He never does. He'll assume you kept a copy, sent it somewhere, stored it in the cloud. I didn't. I know. A muscle ticked in his jaw. But convincing him is the problem. Silence settled, heavy and suffocating. My mind raced in every direction. My car outside, my camera, the $50 job, my half-packed apartment, the eviction notice sitting like a bruise on my kitchen table. I don't understand, I whispered. Why would he follow me? How would he even know my name? Nathan's expression darkened. Because of me. I blinked. You? I asked my security to make sure you made it to your car safely. He rubbed his forehead. I didn't expect Wade to arrive before they did. My throat tightened. You told someone my name? I told them a young woman was shooting photos on the shoreline and that I was concerned she hadn't eaten. He exhaled, frustration etched across his features. I didn't know things would escalate. If I had... He stopped himself, then quieter. I'm sorry, Lena. A billionaire CEO apologizing to a girl who couldn't afford lunch. The absurdity of it made my eyes sting. I'm not blaming you, I said shakily. I don't know what to do. He sat beside me, not close enough to touch, but closer than before. His presence wrapped around me like warmth off a fire. You don't need to know what to do, he said. That's my job. I swallowed. Your job? He met my eyes. To protect you. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to fall into the safety of those words. But reality was sharper. What does that even mean? I asked. I can't stay here. I have no food at home. My rent is overdue. My car barely runs. And some man in a suit thinks I'm a threat to... God, I don't even know what. Nathan's gaze sharpened. Not with anger, but with something like resolve. Then you're not going home. What? You're staying here. I shot to my feet. Nathan, that's insane. I can't just... You can, he said, standing too. And you will, at least for tonight. No, I said. No, I won't be your charity case. His jaw tightened. This isn't charity, it's safety. I don't want to rely on someone like you. He flinched, not visibly, not dramatically, but I felt it. The subtle shift in his breath, the quiet drop of his shoulders. Someone like me, he repeated softly. And what exactly is that? I swallowed. Rich, powerful, angry. You have a whole world I don't understand. He stepped closer, slow and deliberate. And I have a starving photographer who almost passed out on my beach this morning and is still trying to pretend she doesn't need help. The words pierced straight through me. His voice softened. Lena, I'm not your enemy. My throat burned. And I'm not your responsibility. Maybe not. His voice dropped to a low, intimate register. But I don't want to see you hurt. That admission, quiet, raw, did something to me. I looked away, but he gently caught my chin, guiding my eyes back to his. His touch was barely there, respectful, careful not to cross lines. Stay, he said. Just until tomorrow. Let me figure out what Wade wants and how to shut this down. I shouldn't be here, I whispered. But you are? His thumb brushed the edge of my jaw, not possessive, not claiming, just a warm reassurance that made my breath hitch. And you're safe here, I promise. My heart wavered, not because of danger, but because of him. The way he looked at me like I wasn't a problem. Like I wasn't a burden. Like he was someone who could take storms and turn them quiet. But I pulled back. I can't stay in a stranger's house. People will talk. I don't care what people say. Well, I do. Nathan studied me, the tension between us stretching taut as a wire. Lena, I'm trying very hard to respect your boundaries right now. But I need you to understand. If you walk out that door, Wade will follow you. My breath faltered. There has to be another option. There is, he said. Stay. Just for a day. I sank back onto the sofa, burying my face in my hands. I didn't want this. I didn't want to need someone like him. I didn't want to fall into a world where a single mistake, one photo, could reshape everything I thought was stable. But I also didn't want to die in a parking lot because some fixer thought I might have evidence. I lifted my head. One night, I said, voice barely above a whisper. Just one. Relief washed over his expression, quiet and deep. One night, he agreed. But I'm not sleeping in your bedroom. The corner of his mouth lifted, only slightly, but enough to make my chest flutter. You won't, he promised. You can take the guest room, the door locks, from the inside. I nodded slowly. He stepped back, giving me space I hadn't realized I needed. I'll have dinner prepared in a few hours, he said. And I hope this isn't crossing a line, but I'll make a few calls about your car. It's not safe as it is. It barely runs, I admitted. Then I'll fix it. You can't keep fixing things for me. He held my gaze. I'm not fixing you, Lena. I'm protecting you. It should have scared me. Instead, it warmed something hollow inside me I didn't want to name. Hours later, after he showed me the guest room and I shut the door, I finally let myself sink onto the bed. The ocean murmured beyond the windows. The house felt too big, too warm, too safe, and it scared me more than the danger outside, because I already knew just one day around Nathan Carter was enough to change everything. But that night, as I drifted toward sleep, I heard Nathan's voice outside my door, low and tense, speaking on the phone. I don't care what it takes. She's under my protection now. If Wade or anyone else comes near her, deal with it. A beat of silence, then colder. Yes, whatever it costs. My heart thudded painfully. I wasn't a stranger anymore. I was someone he was willing to fight for, someone he was already risking too much for. And that terrified me more than anything Wade could do. I didn't sleep much that night, partly because I was in a stranger's house, mostly because that stranger had become someone I couldn't stop thinking about. Nathan's voice on the phone replayed in my mind. Controlled, deadly, protective in a way that made something deep in my chest ache. By sunrise, the ocean was filmed gold, and I was still awake, sitting cross-legged in the guest room's window seat, hugging my knees. A soft knock broke the silence. "Lena?" Nathan's voice drifted through the door, low, hesitant, unlike him. "Are you awake?" I swallowed. "Yeah." He waited a full second before quietly asking, "Can I come in?" Something tightened behind my ribs. He was giving me control when he could have easily taken it. "Yes," I said. The door creaked open. Nathan stood there, shirt slightly rumpled, hair damp like he'd just run water through it while stressed. The early light washed over him, making the gray in his temples shine like silver. "You didn't sleep," he said, not a question. "Neither did you." He exhaled. "Fair point." He stepped inside, shutting the door gently behind him. A strange tension thickened the room, soft, charged, a thread between us neither of us wanted to cut. "I have updates," he said. I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "Am I going to panic?" "I'm trying very hard to prevent that." His mouth twitched in something that wasn't quite a smile. "Which is why I want to explain things slowly." I nodded. He sat across from me, leaning forward with his forearms on his knees. "Wade has been pulled off," Nathan said. "Officially." "Officially?" I echoed. "Unofficially, he's still unhappy someone interfered with his assignment." Nathan's jaw hardened. "But he's being watched. He won't come near you again." Relief fluttered through me. Weak. Temporary. "So, it's over? For you?" "Yes." He paused. "For me?" "Not exactly." Something cold slid through my chest. "Nathan." He shook his head. "This isn't your burden." "But it is," I insisted. "You're in trouble because of that photo. Because you tried to protect me." His expression softened in a way that made my breath catch. "Lena, I chose to protect you." That word, chose, unraveled something inside me. My heart raced. My throat tightened. I couldn't look away from him. "Nathan," I whispered, forcing myself to ask the question that had been suffocating me since yesterday. "Why? Why go this far for someone you barely know?" He stared at me for a long moment. Then he stood abruptly and walked to the window, bracing his hands on the sill. The muscles in his back tightened beneath his shirt. "When I was 27, he said quietly, my sister got involved with a man who hurt her, manipulated her. Someone with more power, more money, more influence. She was young and overwhelmed and, God, she tried to handle it alone." My breath stilled. "I didn't see the signs," he continued. "Not until it was too late." He turned his head slightly, just enough for me to see the pain etched into his profile. "Ever since then," he said, voice rough, "I've promised myself if I ever saw someone in that position again, someone vulnerable, someone alone, I'd intervene. I'd never let what happened to her happen to anyone else." The puzzle pieces snapped together in a painful, perfect click. That fierce protectiveness, the anger in his voice last night, the guilt he carried like armor. My heart broke for him. "Nathan," I whispered, stepping off the window seat. "I'm not your sister." "I know." His voice was almost a whisper. "But I recognized that look in your eyes yesterday. Hunger, exhaustion, fear you were too proud to show." A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. He turned fully toward me, his expression tight, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. "I'm not trying to save you," he said. "I just couldn't walk away." Silence pulsed between us, fragile, intimate. He took a slow step toward me, then another. "Lena." His voice dropped to a low, trembling register I didn't think he was capable of. "I know you're young. I know you're trying to survive, and the last thing you need is someone like me dragging you into his world." "I didn't say that," I whispered. "No," he said. "But you should." He stopped in front of me, close enough to feel his breath warm my cheek. "I'm not simple," he murmured. My life isn't simple, and I don't want to hurt you. His confession wrapped around my ribs until it was almost hard to breathe. You're not hurting me, I said. Not yet. His eyes flicked to my mouth. But if you stay near me, you might. My pulse skittered. I can decide that for myself. His breathing hitched. For the first time, Nathan looked genuinely shaken. Lena, he said roughly, tell me to back away. I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I whispered, I don't want you to. That broke him, not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way. In the quiet, devastating way a man breaks when he has been holding the world together by force and someone finally reaches out and touches the fracture. His forehead gently pressed against mine. I closed my eyes. God, he breathed, you're going to undo me. My hands lifted shakily, fingertips brushing his chest, not to pull him closer, but to steady myself. I don't understand what we're doing, I whispered, but I don't want to stop. His fingers slid around the back of my neck, warm and strong, but careful, always careful. You don't have to understand, he murmured. Just don't run. For the first time in months, I didn't want to. But before he could pull me closer, his phone buzzed sharply in his pocket. He tensed. I'm sorry, he whispered against my forehead. I need to take this. He stepped back, answering the call. I wiped my eyes quickly, trying to compose myself. But the moment he spoke, everything inside me froze. No, he said sharply. She stays out of it. I don't care what the board thinks. I said she's protected. That's final. A beat. Then quieter but deadly. If they're forcing a vote, I'll walk away from the company before I let them drag her name into this. My breath caught. He would walk away? From a billion-dollar empire? Because of me? He hung up and turned back toward me. Nathan, I whispered, horrified, you can't do that. It's not your decision. But it's your life. He stepped closer. My life is not worth your safety. I shook my head. You're risking everything, your company, your reputation, over someone who doesn't have anything to offer you. He cupped my jaw gently, tilting my face up. You offered me something the moment you refused to run from me, he said. Honesty, courage, something real. My lip trembled. But I'm just... Don't you dare finish that sentence. His voice thickened. You're not just anything. Tears blurred my vision. He lifted his thumb, brushing one away. This decision is mine, he said softly. Let me choose you. My heart cracked open. Nathan, I whispered, I don't want you to lose everything. I'm not losing anything, he murmured. I'm letting go of something that stopped mattering the second you collapsed on my beach. Warmth flooded my chest. Terrifying, breathtaking. I stepped forward until my forehead rested against his heart. His arms came around me slowly, like he was afraid I might break. I didn't. I breathed. For the first time in a long time. 2 months later, I stood on the cliffs above the same Malibu shoreline, camera strap around my neck, sunlight on my skin. Nathan slipped his arm around my waist, pulling me close. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, the ocean wind tugging at his silver-threaded hair. The board had forced him out of his CEO position, but he didn't regret it. Not once. He started a small development firm, selective projects he actually cared about. Less money, less power, more freedom. And us? We had found a rhythm, slow, steady, real. I have something for you, Nathan said. I raised a brow. Nathan? No arguments this time. He placed a small box in my hands. Inside was a new camera, a good one, professional. My breath caught. Nathan? Don't say it's too much, he murmured. You deserve tools that match your talent. I blinked fast as emotion swelled. I wanted to give you the world, he said against my temple. But you only ever asked me for a little safety, a little space, a little time. His hand tightened around mine. So now I'm asking for something. I turned toward him. What? Stay, he said softly. Stay in my life. Not because you need me, but because you want me. My throat tightened. I do. Then that's enough. I smiled, wide, honest, full. The ocean roared below us, sunlight turning everything warm. I lifted the camera. Hold still, I whispered. Nathan chuckled. You sure you want a picture of me? I want a picture of the man who saved my life, I said, and then let me save his. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, chin resting on my shoulder. Click. A single frame. A new beginning. A world neither of us had to face alone ever again.